U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has confirmed that the U.S. is considering providing Kyiv with Tomahawk missiles. Moldova's pro-European party, founded by President Maia Sandu, has won a high-stakes parliamentary election. Denmark has banned all civilian drone flights after drones were again observed at several military facilities over the weekend. At least 4 people were killed after a gunman opened fire inside a Michigan church on Sunday before setting the building on fire. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has confirmed that the U.S. is considering providing Kyiv with Tomahawk missiles, as Moscow continues to refuse bilateral and trilateral peace talks brokered by President Donald Trump. According to reports, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had asked the United States to sell Tomahawks to European nations that would send them to Ukraine.
We're certainly looking at a number of requests from the Europeans. And one of the things, again, that I think has really worked about the president's policy in Ukraine and Russia is that it's forced the Europeans to step up in a big way. So as you know, Martha, we're no longer just giving tons of money and weapons. What we're doing is asking the Europeans to buy that weaponry.
Meanwhile, U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine Keith Kellogg said the Trump administration would authorize long-range strikes by Ukraine into Russia.
I think reading what he has said and reading what Vice President Vance has said, as well as Secretary Rubio, the answer is yes. Use the ability to hit deep. There are no such things as sanctuaries. That's one of the reasons I believe that this last week, and it has been confirmed, that President Zelensky asked President Trump to get Tomahawk missiles, which give you a depth.
Both decisions are likely coming as the impatience grows at the White House over Russia's stance regarding the direct talks with Ukraine aimed at putting an end to Moscow's ongoing all-out war.
At least 4 people were killed and more than 70 others were injured as Russia carried out a major offensive on Ukraine overnight into Sunday. The attack targeted multiple cities, but was heaviest on the capital Kyiv and the southeastern city of Zaporizhia. Regional officials in Zaporizhia say the attacks injured more than 24 people, to varying degrees, among them 3 children. In Kyiv, 4 people were killed, including a 12-year-old child, as Moscow pummeled the city with drones and various types of missiles. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky slammed the strikes and accused Russia of deliberately targeting civilians to incite fear and terror. He also accused Moscow of making a statement on their position regarding ending the war after it received a wave of international condemnation at the UN General Assembly. The Ukrainian leader urged allies again to exert more pressure on Russia to bring the full-scale invasion of his country, well into its 4th year, to an end. He also called on allies to heed U.S. President Donald Trump's plan and halt Russian energy purchases to choke the Kremlin's finances and force them to the negotiating table.
Moldova's pro-European party, led by President Maia Sandu, has claimed victory in a high-stakes parliamentary election, a vote seen as pivotal for the country's future in the European Union. The Party of Action and Solidarity won around 48% of the vote, ahead of its pro-Russia rivals. The result amounts to securing a majority in Moldova's 101-seat parliament. Pro-Russian opposition leader Igor Dodon had urged supporters to rally even before results came in, although Sandu's party now looks set to dominate the new parliament. The weeks leading up to the election were marred by tension and allegations of Russian interference. Authorities reported bomb threats against polling stations abroad, voter bribery, and plots to cause mass unrest. 3 suspects from the breakaway region of Transnistria were detained. For its part, Moscow has denied accusations of meddling in the election.
Denmark has banned all civilian drone flights after drones were again observed at several military facilities over the weekend. The Danish Transportation Ministry said the ban is aimed at removing the risk that enemy drones are confused with legal ones and vice versa. On Sunday, Denmark's Defense Ministry reported new drone sightings, a day after it had several capacities deployed following separate sightings on Saturday. Danish Transportation Minister Thomas Danielsen said that security will be a main focus during the upcoming European summit in Copenhagen. Tensions have been running high in Denmark following multiple reports of drone sightings last week that temporarily forced Danish airports to shut down. While it's not clear who was behind the drone activity, Denmark's Prime Minister and NATO Secretary General said last week that Russian involvement couldn't be ruled out. A gunman opened fire inside a Michigan church on Sunday before apparently setting the building on fire, killing at least 4 people and injuring 8 others, U.S. authorities said. The suspect, a 40-year-old male, was then fatally shot by police, they added. The attack in Grand Blanc on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church, occurred while hundreds of people were attending a Sunday service. Police said they did not yet have a motive for the arson and shooting attack, but said investigators were searching the suspect's residence in nearby Burton. 2 bodies were found during a search of the debris, and authorities said more victims could be found as searchers made their way through the entire church. U.S. President Donald Trump condemned the shooting, calling it horrendous. Trump said the FBI will be leading the federal investigation.
An American citizen held by the Taliban is finally heading home. Qatari mediators secured the release of Amir Amiri from Afghan prison, the 5th U.S. citizen to be freed this year.
Amiri, seen here in blue, is believed to have been detained since December 2024, though the reason remains unclear. Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs says its mediation efforts are aimed at finding peaceful solutions to conflicts and disputes worldwide. The release comes less than 2 weeks after Qatar helped free a British couple jailed for several months in Afghanistan.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Amiri's release marks an important step forward, but added that several more Americans still remain unjustly detained in Afghanistan. He also thanked Qatari diplomats for what he calls their tireless efforts in securing Amiri's release. Adil Halim, Euronews, Doha.
On the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York last week, Secretary General of Humanitarian Aid Network Caritas International, Alistair Dutton, spoke about the serious challenges the UN currently faces.
We're here at the United Nations, and it's the 80th anniversary of the United Nations, which really is the time when states came together to craft international law or strengthen international law as a way of building peace and trying to forge peace between nations. It's clearly a very difficult time for that, and those norms of international law, of multilateralism, are being stretched, and world leaders are perhaps not treating them with the respect that they have in the past. We see states playing with the fringes or challenging the application of international law, but we have to stay strong to those. And the United Nations stands as the custodian of those norms of international law, and we absolutely have to strengthen those and keep working to get them reinforced and brought back to the force that they've had in the past.
It has been instrumental.
NATO and its allies want to bring defence tech companies to the battlefield, at least for training. At NATO's annual exercise Repmus in Portugal, they're testing maritime unmanned systems, including drones. This year, 24 countries are participating, and for the first time, Ukraine's navy is involved. For the past 3 weeks, allies have split into red and blue teams to carry out missions against each other. Ukraine's been on the red team.
One of the important things here we have during this exercise is the participation of Ukrainian Navy. And I think it's important to know how they work and how they use their systems and how they use their because they do it in a very simple way. We have systems much more complex, much more expensive than they use, and they are very efficient.
Another novelty this year is daily jamming trials to test drones in combat-like environments. There's also a free tech zone, a 2,600 square kilometre area where companies, academics and the military can freely experiment. This has included a nuclear submarine, drones and mine detectors to protect subsea cables. Germany's Rheinmetall is displaying its Hero system, a kamikaze drone.
We can launch from 60 kilometers away and be far away from the target, but he's no harm's way to the soldier and charge for the drone.
Meanwhile, the French company AK Heroes has been carrying out missions almost every day. Their plug-in technology can be applied to drones, which then uses AI to analyse what is happening on the ground. It's nearly impossible to jam.
As everybody knows, the war in Ukraine has changed everything. We are now entering a paradigm of asymmetric warfare everywhere, so the little drones, could be like ground drones or Navy drones or UAVs, are very critical in this kind of warfare, and they embed more and more AI. And so what we are witnessing here at Euronews is this change of this paradigm with a new warfare which is made of very agile, very fast.
Back at the base, the red and blue teams analyse what's going on in real time. It's here where decisions are made.
To have the command and control and to have the video, the real position of the units, it's a different way to fight. So right now with the digital tasking, I can task and retask the assets in flight. I can assign different areas. I can see what is happening in the theater. So, as you can see, it's for command and control. It's improving a lot.
He wouldn't declare a winner, but said Ukraine's providing valuable lessons as allies develop new tactics. Pascal Davies, Euronews.